A report on the Reading friendly, 2 Spurs players move on, and an absolutely brilliant display from a new centre-back. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines, where I'll be going through all the latest rumours, news and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And if you do have a spare moment, please vote for the channel at the Football Content Awards 2025. All of the details are below. Let's get into it. Football.London provided a detailed article about Saturday's pre-season friendly versus Reading and the current transfer situation at Spurs. In summary, it states that the Thomas Frank era begins at Tottenham Hotspur with a positive pre-season start. Thomas Frank's first match as Tottenham head coach ended in a 2-0 win, showcasing early signs of his tactical philosophy. Known for his collaborative and adaptable approach, Frank emphasised defensive solidity, aggressive passing and fitness in pre-season training, aiming to balance Spurs' attacking instincts with stronger defensive foundations. Mohamed Kudus impressed with his dynamism and creativity, assisting and linking play well, while 18-year-old Luca Vuskovic stood out with a goal and an assist, hinting at big potential. Other notable performances came from Pedro Porro, Rodrigo Bentancur and Vicario. Brennan Johnson looked a bit rusty and Son Heung-min had a subdued game with ongoing uncertainty about his future at the club. Frank avoided committing to Son as captain. Frank's adaptable tactics differ from previous managers requiring versatile players. He praised the squad's attitude, but acknowledged the need to trim the squad while potentially adding more quality. Injuries and absences, the likes of Solomon, Takai and Richarlison, were explained as mostly minor, with Richarlison being gradually built up. Transfer links continue, including João Paulinho and Morgan Gibbs-White, of course, though pricing and club dynamics remain factors. Frank appears content with his current attacking options, particularly after a Kudus standout display. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club have announced that Alfie Dorrington has rejoined Scottish Premiership side Aberdeen on loan for the 2025-26 season. The 20-year-old defender joined our academy at the age of 13 and progressed through the ranks to make his first team debut in a 5-0 victory over Southampton in December 2024. After signing a new deal with the club in January 2025, he spent the second half of last season on loan at Aberdeen and helped the team to lift the Scottish Cup in May. To date, Alfie has represented England up to under-19 level. The club also announced that we have reached agreement with League One side Luton Town for the transfer of Josh Keeley. The Republic of Ireland international goalkeeper joined our academy from St Patrick's Athletic in July 2022 and immediately joined our first team's pre-season tour of South Korea. He did the same in the summer of 2023 as we travelled to Australia, Thailand and Singapore. He was a regular for our under-21s in his first 2 seasons before joining National League side Barnet on loan in January 2024. Last season proved quite the campaign for Josh. He joined Leyton Orient on loan in August 2024 and went on to play 36 times for the O's, keeping 16 clean sheets, including a run of 660 minutes without conceding a goal in December. He made national headlines by scoring a late equaliser in the FA Cup against Oldham and produced more heroics in a penalty shootout win against Derby in the third round to set up a fourth round tie against Manchester City. Orient went on to make the League One playoff final, where Josh started in a 1-0 loss against Charlton at Wembley. His performances were recognised with 3 accolades at Orient's end of season awards, including Goal of the Season. Capped at under 17, under 19 and under 21 levels, Josh earned his first senior call-up for the Republic of Ireland for this summer's friendlies against Senegal and Luxembourg. And the club says, "We thank Josh and wish him all the best." The Athletic report that Morgan Gibbs-White is expected to be included in the Nottingham Forest squad for their pre-season tour in Portugal. The midfielder has trained as usual since returning to the club last Monday. He has no conflict with Nuno Espirito Santo nor his teammates, despite the ongoing speculation around a transfer to Spurs. Beyond that, the future remains uncertain. And Football Insider report that Morgan Gibbs-White will need to tell Nottingham Forest he wants to leave to secure a move to Tottenham. The England international is facing an uncertain future at the City Ground after the Tricky Trees claimed Spurs had obtained knowledge of the midfielder's release clause immediately. However, 9 days on from Spurs' offer, there have been no developments in the deal, and all 3 sides seems to have reached an impasse as the 25-year-old has not engaged with Forest's attempts to negotiate a new contract, according to Sky Sports. Speaking exclusively to Football Insider, Stefan Borson explained that whilst Tottenham had triggered the release clause, it now fell on Gibbs-White's shoulders to enforce the transfer. Borson stated that the player is the one with the contract and therefore is probably the party that would need to enforce the release clause, not Tottenham. Tottenham don't really have any contractual right to enforce that. So it would need to be the player who would be saying, well, the release clause has been exercised, I'm now leaving. And he says, it seems to me that the most likely scenario is that the 3 parties are now going to have to negotiate. Speaking exclusively and previously to Football Insider about the situation, Borson said that Tottenham would likely need to pay an extra £5 to £10 million to complete the Gibbs-White transfer. And Football.London report that Luca Vuskovic made a sensational debut for Tottenham in a pre-season friendly against Reading, scoring a goal and assisting another in their 2-0 win. Coming on at half-time, the 18-year-old centre-back quickly impacted the game, first heading a corner into the path of Will Lancashire for the opener, then scoring himself just 4 minutes later. Known for his aerial prowess, Vuskovic has previously scored regularly for Radomiak, Radom and Westerlo, especially from set pieces. His display impressed both fans and head coach Thomas Frank, who praised his physicality, composure and goal-scoring instinct. Vuskovic expressed his happiness with the performance, his teammates, support and the club environment. With more strong showings, he could become a key figure for Tottenham this season. Well, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Firstly, about the friendly against Reading on Saturday. The first half was quite boring, to be honest with you, but I did think Rodrigo Bentancur had a decent half. But the second half was where all the action was and all the goals were. And like many, Luca Vuskovic, I was extremely impressed with him. I'll come back onto him a bit later. But a 2-0 win. Some not brilliant performances from our players, but it will have given Thomas Frank a lot to think about. Really intrigued to see Thomas Frank's tactical thoughts and everything going on within the game. There was tactic boards out. The coaches were really involved. It was almost a complete difference to the way Ange Postecoglou used to work. So that was really interesting to see. But a good start, pre-season start under Thomas Frank with a 2-0 win at Reading. I've said before, not that fussed about the results. It's all about players getting minutes in the legs. But of course, it's great to get a win in your first game. So we'll see how it goes against Luton next week. Sad to see Josh Keeley go. I'll come on to him in a minute. But Alfie Dorrington going on loan again. Obviously signed a new deal fairly recently. So you would think that he knows the situation where he's going back to at Aberdeen. So good luck to him for the season. The one I am gutted about, to be honest, is Josh Keeley. It sounds like that a deal couldn't be agreed, or Josh didn't want to sign it for whatever reason that is. So that's fair enough. Look, there's no complete goodbyes in football. As we know, clubs buy players back all the time. It amazes me that they didn't want to try and put in some kind of buyback clause or just a loan for Keeley. But obviously the player's got to agree to that as well. I would imagine Josh probably has got a taste of first-team football, and he realises that at Spurs it's going to be difficult because you've got Vicario in front of him, Kinski and Brandon Austin, and Luca Gunter's still there as well. So could Keeley kind of be fifth choice? I am surprised, like I say, that they didn't really try to loan him out again. Perhaps they did, who knows? But I am gutted Josh Keeley's going, because I've been a big fan of Josh. So all the very best of luck to Josh Keeley. I really hope one day we see you back in a Tottenham shirt, because, as I say, football, funny things can happen. We could always buy Josh back at some point. Still such a young player, but very best of luck to him. Fantastic goalkeeper. And as I say, all the very best. More on the Morgan Gibbs-White situation. It does look at the moment like Morgan Gibbs-White is going to be going on the pre-season tour. That's on Monday. Forest fly out. I think it's Portugal they go. So this surprises me that Spurs haven't pushed to get this done beforehand, because Morgan Gibbs-White wanted his future sorted before he went on the tour. So we're led to believe. Whether that is the case or not, I don't know. But if it is that the end of it? Will Morgan Gibbs-White sign a new deal at Forest? It would surprise me, because he seems very keen on the move to Spurs. And look, something could happen over the next 24, 48 hours. But it is beginning to worry me a little bit. If Spurs want the player, I don't know what the situation is between the clubs. Is it a bit frosty still? One would imagine it is. But let's hope this gets sorted soon, because if we're not going to bring in Gibbs-White, we need to turn our attention to other players. So hopefully we'll get further clarification on that within 24 hours. But I really hope we can get that one over the line and sorted out. And finally, Luca Vuskovic. I was so pleased to see Vuskovic finally. I'd seen clips of him the 2 years since we signed him, but it wasn't quite as good as seeing the player actually on the pitch in a Spurs shirt. And my word, what a performance, what a debut for Tottenham. 1 assist, 1 goal. He looked like to me that he'd played not only well, no, it wasn't a Premiership game, but he looked totally at home for me in a Spurs shirt, playing alongside Mickey van der Ven. Very assured. Didn't really need to see his defensive capabilities that much, although he did clear one off the line. I mean, what a debut for him. But he's absolute monster. Loves getting forward, brilliant in the air, as we've been led to believe. And scoring a goal as well. What a finish. That centre forward would be proud of that finish. But half of that, while that corner was created and that chance was created rather, was Kudus' delivery. I thought Kudus was fantastic as well. So it was great to have somebody that can whip over a corner. Obviously we got Heung-min Son and Pedro Porro and Kulusevski's taking them, but I thought Kudus' corners are obviously something they've worked on during the week. Great balls in. As I say, Vuskovic. I mean, that's really interesting dynamic there. You know, we've got Van der Ven, Romero, Vuskovic and Danzo. And obviously we've still got Dragushin as well knocking about, and Ben Davies. So really stacked in centre-back position. So I think that's certainly a place, as long as Romero doesn't go, or somebody else that I don't think we need to do any more work on. I think we're well stacked in that position. But did you watch the friendly yesterday? Get down in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on that game, or any of the other stories today, or anything else you want to talk about. Get down in the comments, let me know, and come on you Spurs.